The CEO gave overworked tasks to a single dad for weeks, pushing him beyond exhaustion, until one night she showed up at his door at midnight, and everything changed in a way neither of them expected. For nearly 3 years, Daniel Carter had lived by one rule: survive the day. As a single father to his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, survival meant waking before sunrise, packing lunches with half-closed eyes, tying shoelaces while answering emails, and pretending he wasn't bone-tired when he kissed her forehead before school. It meant measuring his life in deadlines and bedtime stories, coffee refills, and quiet prayers that he wouldn't mess this up. Daniel worked as a senior operations analyst at one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the city. The pay was decent, the benefits solid, but the pace was brutal. And ever since the new CEO took over, brutal had become an understatement. Evelyn Ross was known across the industry as a visionary. Brilliant, decisive, relentless. She had taken 3 companies from near collapse to record-breaking success. Investors adored her. The board trusted her. Employees feared her. Daniel had never met her personally. He'd only seen her in company-wide video calls, sharp eyes, tailored suits, a voice that cut through noise like a blade. She spoke about efficiency, accountability, and growth as if they were moral imperatives. There was no mention of balance, no acknowledgement of the human cost behind the numbers. 2 months after Evelyn took the helm, Daniel's workload doubled. At first, he thought it was temporary. A product launch. A restructuring phase. He told himself to push through, just a little longer. But the little longer stretched into weeks. Reports piled up. Late-night emails became the norm. Weekends vanished into spreadsheets and strategy decks. His manager apologized often but did nothing. "These directives are coming straight from the top," he said, eyes avoiding Daniel's. "You're one of the best." She notices that. Being noticed didn't feel like a compliment. Daniel started sleeping 4 hours a night. Lily noticed before he did. She'd tug on his sleeve and ask why he looked sad. She'd fall asleep on the couch waiting for him to finish. "Just one more thing." Once, he forgot it was pajama day at school. The disappointment in her eyes cut deeper than any reprimand ever could. Still, he didn't complain. Single dads didn't have the luxury of being seen as weak. He needed the job. He needed the paycheck. So he swallowed the exhaustion and kept going. Evelyn Ross, from the glass-walled corner office on the 42nd floor, saw the numbers but not the man. Daniel's output was exceptional. His efficiency ratings were unmatched. When other departments lagged, his picked up the slack. To her, he was a high-performing asset. And high-performing assets were meant to be utilized. She assigned him another project. Then another. What Evelyn didn't see were the dark circles under his eyes, the way his hands shook slightly when he hadn't eaten, or the sticky notes on his monitor reminding him to call the school nurse back. The night everything shifted started like any other. Lily was asleep, her favorite stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of Daniel's laptop fan. He stared at the screen, words blurring together, his chest tight with something that felt dangerously close to panic. An email notification popped up, urgent. Revised timeline. Need this by morning. Something inside him broke, not loudly, not dramatically, but enough to leave him hollow. He closed the laptop, leaned back in his chair, and let the silence press in. That was when the knock came. 3 sharp knocks at the door. Daniel frowned. No one ever came by this late. His heart began to race as he stood, moving quietly so he wouldn't wake Lily. He peered through the peephole and froze. Evelyn Ross stood in the dim hallway, her coat pulled tight around her, her expression unreadable. For a moment, Daniel wondered if exhaustion had finally pushed him into hallucination. He opened the door. "Mr. Carter," she said softly. "I'm sorry to come unannounced." He stared at her, words failing him. It's midnight." "I know," she replied. "May I come in?" Every instinct told him this was inappropriate, unreal, possibly a mistake. But he stepped aside. Evelyn took in the small apartment, the worn couch, the child's drawings taped to the fridge, the stack of unpaid bills on the counter. Her gaze lingered on the tiny sneakers by the door. "You have a child," she said. "My daughter," Daniel replied, his voice guarded. "She's asleep." "I won't stay long," Evelyn said. She hesitated, then added, "I owe you an explanation." Daniel folded his arms, exhaustion giving way to something sharper. "About the workload?" "Yes," she said simply. She sat down at the small kitchen table, looking suddenly less like a CEO and more like a woman carrying a weight she didn't know how to set down. "I reviewed internal feedback tonight. Not the filtered reports. The real ones." Daniel said nothing. "I saw patterns," she continued. "High performance correlated with burnout. Missed family time. Health complaints. And your name kept appearing." "So you decided to check my apartment?" he asked, unable to hide the bitterness. Evelyn met his gaze. "I decided to see the consequences of my decisions." Silence stretched between them. Lily stirred in her room, murmuring in her sleep. Daniel's shoulders sagged. "I didn't know," Evelyn said quietly. "About your situation." Daniel laughed once, humorless. "No one ever does. They just see the output." "I thought pushing people hard meant respecting their potential," Evelyn said. "I told myself they'd speak up if it was too much." "And if they couldn't afford to?" Daniel asked. That question landed hard. Evelyn stood, pacing slowly. "My father raised me alone," she said suddenly. "He worked 2 jobs. Never complained. Died of a heart attack at 52. Daniel looked at her, surprised. "I promised myself I'd build a world where success didn't require sacrifice like that," she continued. "Somehow, I recreated the very thing I hated." She stopped in front of him. "I'm sorry." The apology felt real, unpolished. Daniel didn't know what to do with it. "I'm not here to ask you to work harder," Evelyn said. "I'm here to ask you to stop." He blinked. "Stop?" "Take a leave," she said. "Paid. Effective immediately. When you return, your workload will be adjusted. We're restructuring expectations across the company." Daniel's throat tightened. "Why me?" "Because you were the clearest mirror," she replied. "And because you showed me what my metrics never could." She glanced toward Lily's room. "She deserves her father." "So do you," a small voice in Daniel's mind whispered. Evelyn left shortly after, her presence lingering like a quiet aftershock. Daniel stood at the door long after it closed, unsure whether to feel relief, anger, or disbelief. The next morning, for the first time in weeks, Daniel woke without an alarm. Lily climbed into his bed, grinning. "Daddy, you're not on your laptop," she said. He hugged her tightly. "Not today." Over the following weeks, the company changed. Not overnight, not perfectly, but noticeably. Emails slowed. Teams were expanded. Mandatory rest days were enforced. Evelyn held town halls where she spoke not about profits, but about people. Daniel returned to work healthier, present, and no longer invisible. As for Evelyn, she never forgot that midnight knock. It became the moment she stopped being just a CEO and started being a leader, and for Daniel, it was the night survival turned into living.